So market and financial news now. The newly published Companies Amendment Bill could see things change drastically in corporate South Africa. The bill will make it difficult for the real owners of some companies to hide their identities behind what is said to be opaque legal mechanisms, which are sometimes used to hide corruption, money laundering, or the financing of terrorists. Let's speak now to Cherese Thakur, who is AmaBhungane's advocacy coordinator, to tell us why the bill could improve transparency. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm intrigued by your reference to the 1976 film, Or the President's Men. So tell us a little bit why that anecdotal tale to try and explain the bill.
Well, I think when we're talking about the impact of money on corruption and malfeasance, it's so important to think of follow the money. And the journalists at AmaBhungane, this is what they do. It's their daily task of kind of pouring through transactions and documents that we get as a result of tip-offs to actually find out where the money actually leads. Because once you follow the money, there you'll find the masterminds behind corrupt transactions. And so what I want to do is apply that analogy to following the beneficial interest, because that is how money is kind of filtered through companies, and it's a mechanism by which people who want to conduct dodgy deals can go through companies.
So tell us what this new bill does. How does it usher in a new era in that quest that you mentioned of ultimate beneficial ownership disclosure?
So the bill provides for a raft of changes that would enhance beneficial ownership disclosure. So there's another type of disclosure as well that is very important. It's legal ownership disclosure. So that's the name that goes onto the share register. And that's already provided for in the Companies Act. But the bill will seek to enhance the ability of the members of the public to seek out that information by, for instance, going to CIPC to request it instead of necessarily going directly to the company. So that's a great development in relation to legal ownership. But beneficial ownership is basically going towards the natural person, so the warm body, that is the person that actually benefits from the company. So it is a technical and legal term, but ultimately you're looking for the human being at the end of the chain. So if you think of how you can have layers of subsidiaries, or you can nominate somebody to hold shareholding on your behalf, these are the types of things that can get hidden if you've got a complicated shareholding arrangement. And this bill provides that companies will actually have to make inquiries from their shareholders to find out, if you are holding this share on behalf of another person, who is that person? We need to have the name. And that's an important development. As I mentioned, it's a bill, so it's not passed yet. There's still an open comment period, which is the opportunity for the public to have their say. And our view is that it's very important that this type of transparency is enacted into law.
And as you mentioned, a lot of them use alternative accounting, if we can say that, through shell or front companies, creating those layers of ownership that you speak about, and most importantly, as you say, legally. But I want you to tell us about South Africa's 2008 Companies Act. How is it currently, and how will it assist in this exercise to an extent?
So as I've mentioned, the current Companies Act does provide for legal ownership disclosure. So as AmaBhungane, part of what we do is when we want to know the shareholding of a company, we submit a request to that company. They've got to reply within 14 business days. That does assist us, but our experience is that sometimes the companies, take very long to reply. They put it, at the bottom of their to-do list, and it makes it very difficult when we're conducting a time-sensitive investigation to get that information.
But you also said it's limited in its scope.
Yes, it is limited in scope in this sense. Also, with regard to beneficial interest disclosure, at the moment, companies are only required, it's only public companies who are required to find out who the beneficial interest holders are. And so the amendment bill would propose to expand that to all companies with some caveats and exemptions, potential exemptions.
Oh, thank you so much for speaking to us. Cherese Thakur is AmaBhungane's advocacy coordinator. It's time now for your sports news.